Hello everyone, it's September 6th, 2016. It's Tuesday. It's Harp Tuesday! It's been such a long time since I did a Harp Tuesday episode. Many different factors, but one of them was the fact that I actually had the link break in my G sharp pedal action. And it's just a small piece, but they have to take apart the entire action to fix it, so my harp was in Chicago at Layne Healy for several months, and it's great to finally have it back. It's sounding great. They did a great job, and had a good summer, but ready to do some Harp Tuesdays. I'm also going to be in Europe again in October, and I'll let you know more about that very soon. But for now, let's pick up where we left off, which is Songs of Nymphs by Marjan Mozetich. It's a beautiful piece of music. Last episode, I looked at the first two movements. So today, we're going to look at the last two movements, or songs. Starting with Ritual. And this is, it's a very quirky one. I quite like this. Slow and Dance-like is the title, but to me, there's a lot of humor behind it. We have this little... And here's the case where sometimes, just maybe by thinking about the quality of sound we want, that can help. So that I'm thinking not staccato, but a somewhat shortish sound, so that we're kind of very aware of the rhythm that's going on. So that again, if we were playing this with a string instrument or a wind instrument, that those notes might be not staccato, but cut a little bit short. And to me, that's the kind of quality I'm looking for throughout this section. Got some great use of enharmonics and some of this, Again, it's great that Erica Goodman worked with him on this, and it just fits so nicely under the hand. So first spot I want to talk about is this little section, bar 38, on my copy at least, where we get these scales. So what have we got? We've got... well, without an F sharp, but anyway, you get the idea. And it's... it can be kind of a scary place because we're doing these scales without any chance to kind of ease into them or warm up. The nice thing is that I think, it's got a accelerando poco, so we do get to maybe start a little bit slower and then gradually get faster and faster. And recently, so I've played this many times, but most recently I played it again, worked it up in February, and then I played it in the summer, and I'm going to play it in October as well. But it's great to keep thinking about pieces and working on them. And here, I had a thought about those scales that's helped for me, and that is thinking about just really emphasizing keeping that fourth finger low and being aware of where it's headed. That was, for me, the finger most likely to cause something to happen, to have it maybe not be as even or just as clean as I would like. And again, it's kind of like sports, right? That somebody might know, oh yes, keep your eye on the ball, or do this or do that, but sometimes it's just good to remind yourself of something and have something to focus on, right? Some physical aspect to focus on. So for me, it's been on that fourth finger, keeping it low, keeping it kind of tucked in towards the hand, I guess is the best way to describe the feel. And that's made this I feel much more solid. So it was okay, but I feel now I feel it's a spot I really enjoy getting to. Of course, I don't get it every time, sometimes it's maybe not quite as good as I would like, but so something perhaps to think about there. That fourth finger. And then the next spot I wanted to talk about in this is on bar 60. So here we get these wonderful arpeggios in this sort of middle section where we've come up with this gliss, gradually building, and finally these wonderful hand-over-hand arpeggios. So it's funny, when I went to look at this most recently, and I realized I think I've been playing it wrong all these years. So this first little section I was reading this as written instead of up an octave, because it fits the pattern so nicely. It matches what we do later on. But if it is in fact up an octave, I think it's too awkward to come up here. So instead, what I would do, and this would be a rare exception in this piece, again, it fits so nicely under the hand. It's very well notated, and again, the fact that he worked with Erica Goodman, I think, plays a big factor in that. Being able to work with a harpist and work out what works and the fingerings or just the groupings. But in this case, I would do so far as written, and then I would come back up with the right hand, 4, 3, 2, 1. So we're playing this as a C flat, but then we're doing enharmonics on these two. Or actually, I guess we're doing the as written and not using the enharmonics. And these will be the enharmonics of the notes that are written. Enharmonics again, and slide. So let me, I don't know if that made sense. Let me try holding this up. So we're looking, here's where it first occurs. It's focusing on my face. Let's see if it'll focus there. So hopefully you could read my handwriting there, to give you an idea of, and pause it there, right? If you can always rewind and pause. That would be my suggestion in that. And actually it works quite nicely. Because the difficulty here was always avoiding buzzing as you're popping the hands back and forth. So when we get to the next one, of course, we will do it as sort of as beamed, as notated. And this is bar 66. So it works. I think that is the best option in terms of the enharmonic spelling. Just being aware, of trying to be very precise, and I often will think about my hands are open to the shape that they're going for, so that I feel like they're pointing, right? We're kind of pointing our fingers at the strings to try and avoid buzzing, right? Because we gotta sneak in on the G with that F still ringing, right? That's tough. Here another one. Where the thumb, aware of the thumb. Etc., etc. I'm just gonna change my mic position just a tiny bit. So sorry if careful might make a little bit of extra noise. Okay, excellent. And of course, with any arpeggios, right, we can practice this in groupings. We could practice one, a transition, just one transition's worth. Trying to get this movement as fast as possible. Then how about or as solid ones? And then trying to jump, or play and jump and then relax, which I've talked about in a number of different other pieces. But anyway, this is a fun spot to try to get going as quickly as possible. Final thing I want to talk about in this movement is the very end. There's this gliss, And again, this idea that we're always learning, we're always in some cases learning that we should have been playing a piece differently. But he's got this gliss, which says, right, sound is one gliss, and I assume that it's just the idea that we're starting so low, we're going to try to trade off the hands. So, which is fine, but I was never completely happy with this transition here. And maybe it's just something to work on more. I think to me, I kind of want to, rather than hold this finger steady, I feel like I'm going to get a better transition of sound if this is actually moving, if I can time that movement and somehow by having this approach from a place of movement rather than a place of being still, that's going to match up a little bit better. But anyway, I realized, hey, why not just do it all with the right hand? Because I'm lucky I have these really long arms. I can actually reach down with the right hand. So just an option to be aware of if your reach happens to be long enough. And then freedom. This is a beautiful, beautiful movement. We get this just beautiful sense of flow, of this constant movement, this constant stream of notes. Lots of fun to play. It's funny, on the recording of this that I posted from February, I guess, I felt like I wanted more thumb throughout this, and I'm not sure if that's the fault of the recording or that I just wasn't giving enough thumb, but it's something I've been trying to make sure is there, and something to be aware of, that of course we have this tune, right? We have this. For the most part, I always feel like the thumb's going to come through pretty well, and I have a pretty capable of pretty powerful thumb, so sometimes maybe I back off too much. And it's just something to be aware of. I think we do want to make sure the rest of those notes are beautifully even. So in other words, it's not like we're just going boing, boing, boing. We have these two levels, boom, ba, ba, boom, ba, ba, boom, ba, ba, and the lower level, even though it's softer, is just as crisp and even and beautiful. So trying to match that all up, and again, it's great to record yourself and listen to some of that. I keep we're doing 1 3, even though they might, for me, I would do 1 3 2 here, even though it's an octave, just so I can keep 3 on the bottom and 3 and 2 on the bottom. And then all these spots, I just keep 3 and 2 because it's the same hand position. It maybe reinforces the same sound on these as opposed to the tune being the thumb. And I feel it's easier than changing positions, even though in a vacuum, right? I might do 2-1, but I might not. Just again, avoiding the thumb, I feel, might give us a slightly better sound there. So this goes on for quite some time. It's good to try and stay as relaxed as possible. For me, I like to do some nice, loud, relaxed practice throughout this, and as always. And where were the spots that I wanted to talk about in this movement? Bar 108, of course, the left hand finally does this. Here, actually, I think I do 4 3 1 right because it's a 10th, and then have to change. Whatever it is. No, okay, I do 3 2 1. Yeah, just because, again, it's so hard to change in the middle of this pattern, so that for me it's not too big a stretch. I will do that 3 2 1. So won't want to do a a million of these in a row, but so some good practice for the left hand on those. One thing I did want to mention is at the beginning on bar 17, it's kind of interesting, just a spot to be aware of. So throughout, this has always been 2, 3. So we get 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3. And now here, though, on 17 it changes, right? We get 1, 2, and 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3. In other words, the downbeat is now on that E. Instead of being ba-da, ba-da, it's ba-da, ba-da. So it's a subtle thing. Is the listener going to be super aware of it? Because I think we're stretching that a little bit. We're slowing down a little bit. A little bit of rubato there. I don't know, but I think as a player, we want to for sure be aware of that and be trying to hear that ourselves. You know, could you hear that is being different than I don't know, but again, really as a player, if we're at least if we're aware of it, if we're listening for it, if we are hearing it, then it gives the listener the best chance to hear that subtle difference, which is kind of interesting, right? To finally to have that beat, that little pattern which we keep hearing is being to finishing notes is coming on the beat. Let's talk about 140. 141, 142, 43. Here's a great spot again where I really feel like I'm kind of activating the muscles here so that my fourth finger is actually kind of tense. It's not super floppy or relaxed, and it's very precise, just to avoid buzzing, right? As we're going up on this. Let's see. So just really trying to be very precise with that fourth finger placement. And along, again, it's a really, once you get it in your hand, it's a really fun piece to play. And I think the final spot I wanted to talk about is right at the end. So this is bar 233. And here, getting into bar 233. Right, it's bar 232. So we've been coming up, right? We've got this. For me, it's always I've always found that very risky, finding that B and that D, having just played the E, which is of course so close by. You can hear there's a little bit of sound there. And so recently I've been experimenting with doing 2-1 there. So again, I talked about I'm normally doing 3-2 on all of these. So we get, and I have to move further down, but it's easier for me to get 2 in there safely than it is 3. Fingers slightly smaller, maybe slightly more accomplished. So let's see, we get so something just to be aware of. Again, it's great to continue to think about a piece you know very well and think, there's a spot that maybe is not consistently quite as good as I would like. Is there something I can do to change it? I'm not convinced that 2-1 is the answer, but I'm continuing to experiment with it. Let's see. Right, and right there at 233 is one spot where I do finger things slightly differently. I take 2 notes in the left hand. So 1, 2, and now back as written. And this is a spot those repeated Fs I find quite helpful. You know, normally I don't necessarily rest my hand on the soundboard, but here I find it quite helpful to anchor that left hand on those repeated Fs. And this ending is quite fun. Trying to time that exactly how you want it, right? Like just how much, you know, we're kind of fading away, but how predictable a retard at the end do we want? Timing that last note, and not only the placement, but the volume. So, you know, always a fun challenge at the end, no matter how many times you've played it, to try and capture that in that moment exactly how you feel it. So, of course, you know, practicing it during practice to try and both solidify how you hear it and to be able to do it. But then in the moment, there's no guarantee that it's going to happen exactly the way you want it. Anyway, there it is. It's great to be back. So I'll have a slow motion Monday video next week, I think, of some of those hand over hand arpeggios. And then back to Harp Tuesday 2 weeks from today. So I'll see you very soon. Cheers.